The old floors of Starlight Towers shimmered with the scent of lemon polish and bleach, a fragrance that clung to Rosa's clothes long after her shift ended. At 59, she moved slower than she used to, but her pride in her work had never dulled. She was the silent heartbeat of the luxury high-rise, arriving before the sun, scrubbing marble tiles until they gleamed, and picking up after people who never once looked her in the eye. Rosa had been a janitor for 27 years. She had raised 2 children on her modest wages, survived breast cancer, and buried a husband she had loved since high school. Yet nothing had stolen her kindness. She believed in treating everyone with respect, whether they wore tailored suits or carried mop buckets. That morning was like any other, until he arrived. Damon Harlow, the billionaire heir to a global tech empire, stormed through the lobby like he owned not just the building, but the entire coastline it overlooked. He was young, maybe 35. With perfectly combed blonde hair, a face too symmetrical to be real, and the kind of arrogance that turned heads wherever he went. He was in town for a secretive investors' retreat and had rented out the penthouse on the top floor. Rosa had just finished mopping the lobby when Damon stepped in. She politely moved aside, keeping her mop in hand. "Watch where you're putting that filthy stick, woman." Damon snapped, glaring at her. Rosa froze. The word stung deeper than she expected. "I'm sorry, sir," she said softly, lowering her eyes. "Do you know how much this suit costs? It's more than you make in 6 months scrubbing floors like a rat. Next time, stay out of my way." Rosa's hands trembled. She wasn't angry, just deeply saddened. Not for herself, but for the kind of man who carried so much wealth yet so little decency. She took a breath, nodded, and went back to her work in silence. That evening, Rosa sat in her modest one-bedroom apartment, sipping tea and trying to forget the incident. Her daughter, Elena, called from New Jersey. "Mama, you okay? You sound tired." "I'm just thinking," Rosa said with a sigh. "Some people have all the money in the world but no heart." Elena chuckled. "You've always said kindness is the richest thing a person can give." "Yes," Rosa smiled. "And it costs nothing." The next morning, Rosa showed up for work earlier than usual. She wore her faded green janitor's uniform, patched at the elbows, and tied her hair back into a bun. At exactly 7:15 a.m., she entered the penthouse floor with her cart to begin her cleaning rotation. The hallway outside the suite was a mess, discarded coffee cups, crumpled papers, and a trail of muddy footprints. She sighed and began tidying. Suddenly, the penthouse door swung open. Damon stepped out, hungover and irritated. He looked at her like she was a stain on his morning. "You again? Didn't they assign someone else? I don't want you cleaning here." "Get lost," he barked. Rosa stood still. Her grip tightened on her mop handle. This time, she didn't nod or walk away. "I'm sorry, sir," she said calmly but firmly. "But I will not be spoken to like that. I clean because it's honest work. I serve with dignity. But I do not serve disrespect." The hallway fell into silence. Damon blinked, stunned. No one ever told him no. No one ever dared. She turned without another word, pushed her cart down the hallway, and walked away, leaving the billionaire to stew in his ego and coffee breath. That night, Damon couldn't sleep. He lay awake in his king-sized bed staring at the ceiling. Something about the janitor's words wouldn't leave him alone. They echoed in his mind louder than board meetings or bank alerts. "I do not serve disrespect." He was raised by nannies, trained by Ivy League professors, and shaped by investors and lawyers, but no one had ever taught him about humility. His mother left when he was 10. His father raised him like a stock option, valuable only for his returns. He sat up in bed at 3 a.m., poured himself a glass of whiskey, and did something he hadn't done in years: he thought about someone else. The next morning, Rosa arrived as usual. Her cart parked neatly near the loading dock, her gloves folded on top. But as she reached for her keys, a man in a suit approached. "Excuse me, are you Rosa Marquez?" he asked. "Yes." He handed her a crisp envelope. "This is for you. Please come to this address after your shift." Confused, Rosa tucked it into her pocket and returned to her work. All day, she wondered what it meant. Was it a complaint? A termination notice? At 6 p.m., she arrived at the address listed on the paper. It was on Ocean View Drive, where properties cost more than most people made in a lifetime. She stood before a white gate. It opened automatically. A man greeted her at the door. "Welcome, Ms. Marquez. This way." He led her through a stunning villa with white stone walls, panoramic ocean views, and fragrant gardens. Rosa's jaw dropped. It felt like a movie. Then, standing on the terrace in jeans and a t-shirt, was Damon Harlow. Rosa's eyes narrowed. "What is this?" Damon took a deep breath. "An apology." She crossed her arms. "A fancy house won't fix your words." "I know," he said softly. "But this isn't charity. It's gratitude." She tilted her head, skeptical. "You told me something no one ever has," he continued. "You showed me what dignity looks like. You refused to let me buy your silence. That woke me up." He pointed at the villa. "This was supposed to be a vacation home. But today, I signed it over to your name. Free and clear. You own it now." Rosa stepped back, stunned. "Why would you do that?" "Because people like you shouldn't clean up after people like me," he said. "And because it's time someone cleaned up their own mess." Rosa didn't say a word. Tears welled in her eyes. She thought about the years she'd spent sacrificing, nights when she didn't eat so her children could, winters with broken heaters, mornings in pain from arthritis. She had never once asked for help. And now, because she refused to be disrespected, she was being rewarded in a way she never imagined. The story went viral within days. A local journalist heard about the villa handover and wrote a piece titled, "The Janitor Who Stood Tall, and Changed a Billionaire's Heart." Social media exploded. People from around the world reached out to Rosa with messages of support. Damon, for once, refused interviews. He said, "This story is not about me. It's about the strength we overlook every day. Rosa reminded me that money doesn't earn you respect, character does." Rosa never returned to janitorial work. She turned her villa into a shelter for single mothers and women recovering from trauma. She named it, Casa de Dignidad. The same hands that once scrubbed floors now handed out warm meals and held others in comfort. As for Damon, he began volunteering there on weekends, wearing jeans, washing dishes, and learning the kind of wealth that can't be stored in banks. One afternoon, as Rosa walked along the beach with her granddaughter, the little girl asked, "Abuela, why did the rich man give you this house?" Rosa smiled. "Because I told him something no one else did." "What did you tell him?" She knelt down, brushing the sand off the child's cheek. "That no one is too poor to deserve respect. And no one is too rich to give it."